Hi, welcome to the Talk Spot. This is Marcus, and today I'm joined by Audel from the ShowtimeForum podcast. Audel, thank you for coming on.
Of course, my pleasure.
All right, so you guys obviously talk quite a bit about the Lakers. So, what's the state of the Lakers? Would you say today?
Well, I mean, it was a turmoil. It was pretty intense the last few days and the last weeks over the hiring of Frank Vogel and not getting Tyronn Lue and whatnot. But it kind of took a turn last night when the draft lottery happened. We were supposed to get number 11, and we had a 9.4% chance of getting a top 4 pick. So we ended up jumping to the number 4 spot. So some good news for Lakerland.
So what would you rather talk about first, the draft pick or the hiring of Frank Vogel? I guess I suppose probably more people would be interested in hearing about the draft pick, I guess.
Yeah, the draft pick is probably a little more happy news, we could say.
It's probably a little bit more spicy. So
yeah.
All right, so I guess this would be my take after the Lakers first got the pick, and when it was announced they were going to get the 4th pick in the draft. Last night I was very ecstatic. I thought, wow, this is really great. I'm like, between that pick and Ball and Ingram and Kuzma and some combination of them, I thought, wow, this is like a really good package we have. I thought to myself, wow, this is by far the best package that anybody could potentially have for Anthony Davis. And then, I look at the media today and a little bit of what was tweeted last night, and I was just totally stunned. I mean, Brian Windhorst saying that the Knicks have a better package than the Lakers. I mean, just things that I just feel like are just so ridiculous. I mean, what's your response to that? I mean, obviously you guys are very active on Twitter, so I'm sure you guys have seen some of the tweets. I mean, is this just bad take central today in regards to the Lakers?
It's a little bit of both. It's the media is trying to put their narrative out there, and obviously Windhorst, I don't think he has any connections to any of the Lakers front office, but him saying the Pelicans are not willing to deal with the Lakers still, and that they're going to trade Anthony Davis for the New York pick is better, and their players are better, and that package is better. It doesn't make any sense to me. If you look around and all over Twitter and NBA Twitter and all the NBA analysts, most of them are pretty much saying that the Lakers players and that number 4 pick is now a much more enticing package to offer for Anthony Davis. So I just don't know why Windhorst and them are kind of getting that narrative out there that and I think it's mainly a leverage play here. The Pelicans and Griffin are trying to get the best package they can for Anthony Davis, and they're even saying that Anthony Davis, they're trying to convince him to stay still. So I don't know how that's going to work. Shams already reported that Anthony Davis' stance has not changed. So the leverage play there is kind of not working at the moment.
Let's talk a little bit about the Lakers, all of their assets that they have. So I mean, I heard Windhorst when he was on with Richard Jefferson earlier with Rachel Nichols. Windhorst was saying that Knox and Richard Jefferson was kind of like going like kind of like no to that. And I mean, I'm really blown away by like the total disrespect and just utter, I don't know how to describe it, than just utter disdain and dislike for the Lakers young core for people that aren't Lakers fans. I mean, it sounds like when you hear the national media talk about Kuzma, Ingram, and Ball, they make it sound like these guys are Dennis Smith Jr. or they make them sound like they're, that they're Markelle Fultz. And it's like, have you guys watched the games? That's my first thought is like, are you guys watching the games or the stats? I mean, Kevin Knox shot under 40% and averaged 12.8 points for the whole season. And he's like 8 months younger than Brandon Ingram. I mean, who are they watching?
Yeah, no, I don't get the media's always downplaying the Lakers' young core. It's been that way since the beginning. Since even when we had Randall and D'Angelo Russell, they downplayed them. So it's just, I think it's the media just doesn't like Los Angeles. They love Los Angeles because of the hoopla, but they don't like the Lakers and they just downplay all the young core. And I just read something earlier today that said Brandon Ingram was one of the youngest ranked in the top 5. In 5% of playing one-on-one basketball, and one of the youngest guys in there. So for the media to say that these young guys are, Dennis Smith Jr. or they're bad. I mean, they can say that based off of injuries. Maybe I can give them that, and I can take that that response for that, but I just don't see why they would consider the Lakers a young core lower than any other young core out there.
Now, obviously, there's the whole narrative that the Celtics have this treasure trove of assets and that they're so phenomenal, all their picks. And, after last night, my biggest takeaways were obviously the Pelicans won the night because they got the first pick in the draft, which obviously is the most important pick. The second analysis, okay, the Lakers got second place, moving up so many spots to the number four selection. Right. And then my third analysis would be that I think the Celtics were really big losers last night. If you look at all of the Celtics' assets, so they got Tatum and Brown. They've got 3 mediocre picks in this coming draft. And then what else do they have? They have the Grizzlies pick that next year, God only knows where it's going to be. And, some people are speculating. It's if the Grizzlies, if they tank next season or if they trade Mike Conley, then maybe they're going to lose all these games and the Celtics are going to have that pick. And my first response to that would be, look how that worked out for the Cavaliers. When the Celtics traded them Isaiah Thomas and the Brooklyn pick, they ended up becoming the 8th pick in the draft. So, is it possible that the Grizzlies pick next season could be very high? I'm not really sure all the protections. I don't know if it's first or second protected or not, but that's a huge gamble. That Grizzlies pick next season could be the 10th pick in the draft. What are the Celtics' assets that are so incredible that they're going to automatically get Anthony Davis?
Yeah, well, I say Jason Tatum is probably the only asset they have because, like you said, you mentioned all those picks. You don't know what they're going to be, and at this point, tanking is gone. Did you see how the draft lottery went last night? All the lower 3 teams ended up with 5, 6, and 7. So the tanking part is gone now. You can tank and lose all you want, and you're not going to get a top 3 pick anymore. So with that being said, Boston, like you said, they have 3 mediocre picks in this next coming draft, and then pretty much Tatum, Jaylen Brown, and I don't think they have anything else they can pretty much ship out. Tatum is a huge asset. I don't see why the Boston would want to get rid of him if Kyrie's gone, especially. They can build around him. But if Kyrie, for some reason, resigns, then Tatum is hands-on. You can trade him. But I don't understand why they keep saying that Tatum is a million times better than Brandon Ingram. Because if you put their stats together, Brandon Ingram actually had better statistics than Jason Tatum did. And they're the same age. And Brandon Ingram has been in the NBA. He's, 30 year now, 21 years old. So I think you can fight that. You can argue that. And you can go either way. But I still think that the Lakers package is better than the Boston package.
Well, you raise another good point, too, with the Celtics is that if Kyrie Irving leaves, are the Celtics even going to try to get Davis?
Yeah.
Seriously give up everything for a team of what? Davis, Gordon Hayward, and potentially Al Horford? What's going to be the package at that point?
Yeah, and not only that, if Kyrie does leave and then you end up trading for Anthony Davis, you know that Anthony Davis is not going to re-sign.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
even this whole idea, too, of the Knicks, it's the Knicks are going to give up everything for Anthony Davis. And it's a little bit all right, well, they're kind of putting the carriage before the horse again a little bit. Everyone in the media, again, is just assuming that Durant and Irving are going to go to the Knicks. And maybe it will happen. It's not like it's impossible, but, have the Knicks done anything at all to lure both of those players to the team? And I know people can, dump all over the Lakers all they want to, but what the Lakers have right now is LeBron James at least. They have have the best player in the league as of this moment. The Knicks literally have nothing. What the heck do they have? They have David Fizdale and a promise. That's all the team has.
Yeah, no, I don't see why they're so such a big team that everybody wants to go to, or what they have on their roster that can compete. Mitchell Robinson is a nice, solid asset. Kevin Knox is nice, but these guys are not going to be all-star players. They'll probably be good role players, but it's still going to take them time. And other than that, Frank Ntilikina and who else is there that they have? Say the point guard's name. Dennis Smith Jr. They're okay, and if they re-signed DeAndre Jordan, and you add Kyrie and Kevin Durant to that, I don't see that being it'll be a contender, but I don't see them beating Milwaukee or beating Toronto if Kawhi goes back. So I don't see it either. I don't see why the teams will want to line up to go to New York. Maybe because it's New York, it's the mecca of basketball and Madison Square Garden and the history of playing there. And I can see Kevin Durant going there. to rewrite his own kind of narrative of him being the main guy and running his own team. But I don't see what's the big deal about going to New York. Like you said, there's nothing enticing about that roster. So I don't understand.
I mean, for all the people that want to dump all over the Lakers, the Knicks have every single issue that the Lakers have, but they have absolutely no upside. All they have is a draft pick that's one selection above ours. I mean, they literally,
Right.
I would take all of our young guys over all of their main young asset guys. We
Of
have
course.
LeBron James and we have cap space. Like I don't understand this, even this whole idea of, oh, everyone's going to the Knicks. Like, if you had asked me what I think is more likely to happen is that the Knicks are going to get Tobias Harris and DeMarcus Cousins, or they're going to get Kemba Walker, and then he's going to tear his Achilles.
Oh,
Like something like that. Like, I mean, I don't wish him ill will, but like
you could just see that.
that would be so Knicks. Wouldn't
Yeah.
it be so Knicks for something like that to happen?
Oh yeah, I can totally see that. That's just bad.
Or like they do trade for Anthony Davis, then they get Kemba Walker, and then Kemba gets injured.
Oh,
I mean, that would be quintessential everything that's wrong with that team. And I don't know, I guess, I don't know if I see it, but this kind of leads into the next question. And obviously, for Lakers fans, a lot of us are very attached to the young core. Do you, how much would you give up for Anthony Davis out of the young core?
well, if we're getting if LeBron knows that he's getting Kawhi or Kyrie is on the way, hypothetically, I would give up the entire farm to get Anthony Davis and make that deal. I wouldn't even play around with it. I would just give up him, whoever they want, anybody on the roster, and let them have them for Anthony Davis. Because that way you form probably the biggest big three in NBA history with LeBron, Anthony Davis, and either Kawhi or Kyrie. So hands down, I would give up anything for Anthony Davis if we knew someone was coming. But let's just say no one is coming and we're trying to get Anthony Davis. I would definitely negotiate it with offering them two out of the three young guys, either Lonzo Ingram plus the 4th round pick, and I'll throw in Hart if I have to, or Lonzo and Kuz plus the 4th and throw in Hart. But they can't have all three. It has to be two out of the three, and I'll let them choose, and then throw in that 4th round pick.
Well, which of the young guys are you the highest on? Like, which of them do you feel like has the most potential, I guess, out of them?
I feel like Brandon Ingram has the best potential. He's so young and he's still kind of raw, but you can see you see flashes of him driving to the basket at will, getting a basket whenever he wants. His jumper, his mid-range jumper is starting to be on point, and his 3-point range is a little bit better this season. So I think Brandon Ingram is a future All-Star. I don't think Kyle Kuzma is gonna be more than what he is now. I think he's already reached his ceiling. He was in college in Utah for 4 years, so I think he's not gonna progress any more than he already has. He's already gonna be that. He's more of a 6th man, come off the bench, energetic type guy, give you some buckets. But I don't see him as an all-star. And Lonzo, I mean, I love Lonzo, and to me, he was the one that had the most potential before Brandon Ingram had a great season this last season. But with that being said, I don't think Lonzo is actually, you know what? Let me take that back. I think Lonzo can be an all-star, and I think he does fit well with LeBron and the way he fits well with anyone. The way he runs the offense and just kind of pass first guy and gets guys creative inside the paint and all that. I think he's solid, but at the end of the day, it has to be Brandon Ingram that I have the highest potential for.
I mean, would you be totally shocked if Ingram or Ball, like, were on a first All-NBA team, let's say 4 years from now? Would that utterly shock if either one of them were there?
That's a good question. On a All-NBA first team?
Yeah.
In a couple of years, I would be shocked if Lonzo was on there. Ingram, I wouldn't. I think he's the guy that can be future All-Star, and I think he has it in him. He has that Mamba mentality in him.
I mean, I totally agree with you. I mean, honestly, I'm very high on both Ingram and Ball. Like, I feel like if you had a really good development person there, I feel like that could just expedite their journey so much better. But I don't know. I'm very high on both of them. I feel like just to kind of, just willy-nilly be like, oh, we'll trade this and that. We'll trade Ball and Ingram and the pick and Hart for Bradley Beal. And my first thought is like, I mean, what? Like, I mean, I think honestly, I mean, I wouldn't be shocked, and this might sound very hyperbolic, but I wouldn't be shocked if by the end of next season that Brandon Ingram is like on par with Bradley Beal, maybe even potentially like even a little
Wow.
better. Like I feel like with Ingram, I mean, especially in that little stretch, like after the All-Star break, like he was looking really good. And I mean, I'm not sure if you noticed this or not, but like, yesterday, like when you saw Kyle Kuzma, like even I'm like, did you notice his body? Like he looked
Yeah,
so much like
bigger.
bigger, right?
Yeah, I noticed that.
And
Hmm.
I'm thinking to myself, like, I mean, what if Ingram did the same thing, or if he is doing the same thing? I mean, it's got to be remembered with Kyle Kuzma. What is he like 3 years older than Ingram, or two and a
Yeah.
half years older?
Hmm.
I mean, I don't know. I feel like Ingram and Ball. I wouldn't just give them away for anything, but that kind of leads into the next question of, let's say that it is true that the Pelicans for sure won't actually trade Anthony Davis to the Lakers. Who are some other names out there that you'd like the Lakers to trade for if we're getting that other max free agent? So let's say we are able to get Kawhi or Kyrie. Who are some other like good players out there that you would actually like for us to trade for, and what would you be willing to give up for them?
Okay, so off the bat, the only one that I can say off the bat is Bradley Beal. He's one guy that I would like to have on the Lakers if we can't get Anthony Davis. But like you said, you mentioned some great points that I can see Brandon Ingram being just as good as Bradley Beal by the end of next season. I think that Brandon Ingram can develop his NBA body, and he's almost ready. I think he's almost there to take that next step, the next level. And I do expect big things from him next season, and possibly even making an All-Star team. That's how good I think he's going to be. But Bradley Beal would be one guy that I would like to have, and it might take something like um, maybe one or two of the young guys plus the fourth pick. I'm thinking more of Josh Hart, the number 4 pick, and then one of the young guys, either Alonzo, Kuz, or Ingram, to go with for Bradley Beal. Another guy that I heard is not too happy is Karl Anthony Towns in Minnesota.
It's interesting that you bring him up because that was literally the name I wanted to ask you about. So, sorry, I didn't mean to necessarily interrupt you for what you're going to say anyways, but yeah, let's dive into a little bit of this whole Karl Anthony Towns thing and maybe some of what you've seen and kind of what your thoughts are.
Yeah, I'm not too familiar with what exactly is going on in Minnesota or what he's unhappy about. I'm sure something with the front office, but Karl Anthony Towns is a guy that he has super high potential, and he's already an all-star, and he's super young, and I think he can be one of the best centers in basketball, up there with Joel Embiid. So I would offer two of the young guys and the fourth pick for Karl Anthony Towns, because the guy can flat out play. He can shoot from three. He can shoot from mid range. He has a post game. He's solid all around. Plays defense. Runs the court well. So that's one guy that I would love to have on the Lakers, and he would fit like a glove next to LeBron James.
So let's say if the Lakers were able to get Karl Anthony Towns, what would you want I guess if you could, like, what would the starting lineup be for you? Like, what would be the ideal starting lineup with Karl Anthony Towns and LeBron James?
Is that with the young guys still there, or I mean, obviously you get rid of two of them, but is that with free agents as well, or?
No, that's what I mean. So after free agents and the trades, like, would you want that starting lineup to be something like, let's say, Kawhi, LeBron, Cat, Ingram, and
Sheesh.
maybe I don't know who the point guard would be. I mean, Caruso. I'd rather Caruso be the point guard than Rondo.
Yeah.
But
I think if they bring in let's just say they go with Kyrie, right? Kyrie's a starting point guard, and then you can give somewhat of a $8 million a year type of deal to like Danny Green or Terrence Ross. So then you have a shooter next to Kyrie and at the 2 guard, and then you throw in either Kuz or Bi, whoever stayed, and then you have LeBron and Karl Anthony Towns. That's a great team right there.
do you think is that a championship contending team?
Karl Anthony Towns, LeBron, and Kyrie is a pretty decent big three, and I think they can compete. I think they'd be better than Houston, and obviously Golden State would be the only tough matchup in the West. Portland is solid; well, they'll be there again. But Karl Anthony Towns, LeBron, Kyrie, that's pretty good. And then you still have Ingram or Kuz. That's pretty solid, and you have a shooter. I think it's the top 3 in the West, and definitely competing for the championship. And especially if Kevin Durant leaves Golden State,
Oh,
it's anybody's game.
Oh, if Kevin Durant leaves Golden State, I would definitely put that Lakers team ahead of them.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I honestly, I would love to see that lineup, but I guess here's some other names I was thinking about, and I don't really know if these people are even up for trades, especially the first one, but let's say a player like Rudy Gobert. How much would you be willing to give up for somebody like that?
I love Rudy Gobert. He's a great center. I would be willing to give up one of the young guys and the number 4 pick, and I'll throw in Josh Harden there. Essentially, it's 2 of the young guys, but not really of the young core. Hart plus either Lonzo or Hart plus either Kuz, and the 4th pick for Rudy Gobert. That'd be solid. Rudy Gobert is really good. Protects the paint and finishes around the rim, finesse. But again, I don't think he's a game changer to where he would kind of be a fit in the mold of that big 3 next to LeBron. Obviously, he'd be great, but he hasn't even made an All-Star team yet.
I agree with that. One name I was thinking though that I wouldn't be totally shocked if this happens, although I haven't heard any rumblings at all about this or haven't seen any rumblings. Would be a Kevin Love for the 4th pick. I wouldn't do more than that 4th pick, but I don't know. I was thinking about that. I'm like, man, would that be terrible or would that be okay? I don't necessarily know how to feel about that.
I think Kevin Love would be okay. It wouldn't be terrible and it wouldn't be great. It'd be okay. And he's familiar with LeBron James. But he's injury prone and that contract is huge. He's getting a lot of money the next 2 or 3 years. So I don't know if he's worth that money and bringing him in and kind of being stuck with him. Even though he's always injured. So that's kind of a tough one on that one.
Yeah, I agree with you. So now that we've kind of speculated a little bit about speculated about the free agency and the trades, I guess what's your take on the front office right now and just everything going on in Lakerland? Like, it feels like, in my opinion, like a week ago, everything seemed like it was the apocalypse. Everything was terrible. The thing with Tyronn Lue had just fallen through. Jeannie Buss, I was thinking, wow, she's by far the worst owner in the league. It just looked really bad. And I don't really know if my opinions about Jeannie Buss has changed at all. Like, I still have the same opinions. I think that she's terrible. I think that she is literally the antithesis of Jerry West, where as good as he was, she's equally as bad.
Wow.
But I will say that I feel like in the last week, there's been a lot of positive things. And I feel like, was Frank Vogel the first option? No, he wasn't. But is he potentially a better coach than Tyronn Lue and Monty Williams? I think that he is, actually. I think that Monty Williams was a little overrated or highly overrated for a guy that really didn't do a lot as a coach. I feel like he was such a hot commodity, and I didn't necessarily understand why. But yeah, I like Frank Vogel. I like that. I actually do like that hire. I think Jason Kidd. I know some people have had complaints about him or issues about him joining the coaching staff. I feel like I don't really care that much about that. If we get a couple other good assistants, then I don't necessarily care. And then we hired that. Oh my gosh, what's her name? The physical therapist. That was
Judy Seto.
Yeah. And I like that hire. And then obviously you couple him with the draft pick. I feel like in the last week, things have actually looked pretty good, but what are your opinions about everything?
Yeah, definitely the tides have turned because it's been nothing but good news the last couple of days with the draft pick and then getting Judy Seto and finally getting a coach. But yeah, no, I agree with you on Jeannie Buss. She's pretty terrible, and she on the business side, she's absolutely amazing. She's great. The business side is skyrocketing. The ticket sales, everything is great. But as far as basketball decisions, I don't think. Well, obviously she doesn't have the right mindset for that, and to make those kind of calls. And the thing that bothers me the most is that she keeps going to Linda Rambis and Kurt Rambis and getting advice from them, and even Phil Jackson, who's not even in the organization. And I don't think the Rambises have a great basketball mindset either. Linda Rambis, yeah, I heard she's been with her for 20 years, and she's known her since she was a kid, and I get it, they're best friends, but I have a best friend. Do I go to him for advice all the time? Not all the time. Sometimes, sure. But do they always give you the best advice? Not always. So it's kind of like you need to hire a president of basketball operation that's going to go in there and kind of control everything that's going on in there and hire the right guys. There was a quote from John Ireland, who said on the radio that he interviewed Jeannie Buss a long time ago when he worked for the LA Times. And she said something about her dad always said, hire the best minds around you and get the hell out of the way. And this was years ago that she said that. And it's kind of like if he said that to you and you, why didn't you run with that and kind of, hire the best basketball minds and get the hell out the way? You're in the way right now. You know what I'm saying?
No, I mean, I 100% agree with you. I mean, I do think that she's terrible. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, I for sure think that she should go. And I feel like there's immense pressure from the partners, that media company that owns a large stake in the company, and the LA Times and her siblings, that I feel like there's immense pressure for her to do well. And I mean, I know, again, the national media very much hates the Lakers, and they very much, every time they have an opportunity to disparage the Lakers, they will, and they do.
Yeah.
So much more so than any other team in the league.
Right.
But I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm just optimistic, but I feel like we might actually stumble into a bunch of really good things. I mean, if it is just simply, LeBron's going to call up Kawhi or Kyrie Irving or whoever else and just say, hey, do you want to come to Lakers? And he himself is enough of a sell. That's like, okay, perfect. And then, I mean, all you have to do at that point is just pull off this trade. And obviously, LeBron James, I mean, I do not believe that he's completely remaining silent on the sidelines, just saying, oh, you guys do whatever you want to. I'm sure he's talking to Jeannie and saying, okay, we should do this trade or that trade. Like, I'm sure he's not just totally sitting back, because why would he? I mean, he's not going to waste the rest of his career being on a team that trades everybody for a crap player. But I feel like we might accidentally just fall into something really good happening. I kind of feel like that happened with Vogel, actually.
Yeah, well, if you're saying that LeBron is going back to the front office and kind of giving his 2 cents, there's been so many reports that have came out that LeBron has nothing to do with anything. He doesn't want to have anything to do with it. And he trusts the front office. And that's just him kind of being the guy. He doesn't want to be like he was in Cleveland, kind of running that team and known for hiring and firing coaches. But like you said, if he is doing that, then I would have expected for him to have the Lakers kind of give maybe a 4th year for Tyronn Lue. I feel like they really lowballed him with that 3-year deal. I understand what they were trying to do in bringing in Lue for those 3 years so he can coach LeBron for the remainder of his contract. But if you do that, you're bringing him on 3 years. He's a lame duck coach before he's even hired on those 3 years. And now, look, if I'm Ty Lue, I bet on myself. And I'm going to say, give me that 3-year deal. I'm making $18 million, and I'll guarantee and I'll show you guys that I can continue coaching even after LeBron is gone. So I would have bet on myself if I was Ty Lue. But I do feel like the Lakers should have even at least offered a 4th year maybe with an option so he can get Tyronn Lue to be the coach for LeBron for the next 3 or 4 years. So I kind of disagree with the way that went down. And like you keep saying, Frank Vogel, he's a good coach, great defensive mind coach. He did well in Indiana. He had that team in the top 5 in defense a couple of years, and he went to six games against Miami with LeBron, when Miami had LeBron, Wade, and Bosh twice. And he also went to a Game 7 against Miami. So LeBron has his respect, and I'm willing to give him a chance. And I think he's a great coach, and I think he can be solid. The only thing is that Jason Kidd hire is kind of throwing me off. I don't have nothing against him. I know that came out about him with his wife, and he hit his wife and all that. There's no place for that in basketball and all that. So I do wish the Lakers would have kind of held off on hiring him, or maybe there was so many other options out there. They could have had JB Bickerstaff, or they could have had anybody else that were hiring as an assistant. It didn't have to be Jason Kidd. I don't know what he said to sell himself. I guess it was something about he believes in Lonzo, and they fell in love with him after that. But that's the only thing that kind of has a wrinkle in the coaching hire. Other than that, I love Frank Vogel.
Well, didn't it come out that Jason Kidd one time had a phone conversation with Lonzo Ball? Isn't that how he mentored Lonzo Ball?
I guess that was his mentorship, right? That phone call?
I guess it sounded like what happened was Tyson Chandler was talking to Jason Kidd on the phone, and maybe Lonzo happened to walk by. And he's like, oh, hey, do you want to talk to Jason Kidd?
Oh,
Lonzo said, oh, yeah, sure, I can do that. I mean, it sounds so...
I didn't know that was the story.
Well, I don't know if that's the full story, but I know that they had one conversation, it sounded like. I think Ramona Shelburne said that, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel like with Tyronn Lue, I feel like, is he potentially a really good coach? I mean, he might be. All I know is that I haven't heard of him going to any other team, interviewing for any other position. He got fired after, 10 or 20 games this last season. Mm-hmm. And I know that the Cavs are tanking, but I mean, why fire the guy immediately? If I don't know, that was weird to me. And I feel like, honestly, if Ty Lue if he doesn't get hired this offseason, then I really think that we made a better decision going with Vogel than him, honestly, at the end of the day. Because, I mean, I feel like at least with Monty Williams, at least other teams looked at him and they thought to themselves, like, okay, this guy could be something. But if Ty Lue actually is that good, why would he go unhired this whole offseason?
Yeah, well, I don't think there was that many options for teams hiring head coaches. And I know Monty Williams was a hot commodity. Like you said, I don't know much why he was. But I've heard a lot of good things about Ty Lue. I don't know if it was just David Griffin who used to be the GM for the Cavs and was a GM on top of Ty Lue at that time. But he said that Ty Lue was one of the best at X's and O's and running plays out of timeouts. He remembers teams having to go in a zone defense because they didn't want to be fooled and ridiculed by Tyronn Lue's play out of the timeout. So that's how good his X's and O's were. And I don't think we've had that in LA. With Luke Walton was, pretty terrible at X's and O's. I remember them calling plays out of timeouts, and I was like, what are they doing? So I think that out of David Griffin saying Tyronn Lue was great on his X's and O's and calling plays out of timeouts, he would have been a good guy to have just for the young guys running plays like that. And at the same time, he was LeBron's coach, and LeBron had respect for him. So that to me is, look, right now, LeBron is the franchise. He's the main guy, and you're going to build around him for the next 3 years, whether we like it or not. It's LeBron's team. So Tyronn Lue would have been the perfect guy to come in and kind of, he's the guy that would actually check LeBron in practice, and whenever he's running the wrong play, he would tell him something. And I don't know if Frank Vogel's he's going to command that respect from LeBron James.
No, I mean, that's a very fair point. So obviously, besides the big free agency stuff and the big trades that could happen, what do you feel like the Lakers need to do between now and let's say the next couple months? Like, what are the next steps that the Lakers as an organization need to actually take that you think that they could take? I mean, obviously, Jeannie Buss isn't going to step aside, so we're stuck with her. We're very realistically stuck with Rob Pelinka. So, like, what else do you feel like could actually happen with the team that needs to happen that, like, you think you could see actually occurring?
Well, the first thing they need to do is they need to, whether Kurt Rambis is going to be the president of basketball operations, or, right now they're calling it the Rambi, the shadow president of basketball operations. It is what it is at this point. So she needs to kind of just make it official and stop playing games and stop, saying he is the senior advisor and she's a special projects advisor or whatever. Not like, you need to just kind of give them a title and have a president of basketball operations intact and in the organization, because we look like we're running things like Mickey Mouse. We don't know what we're doing here. We got Rob running everything. He's the GM and the PBO. So it's like, we need to have a official president of basketball operations first off. And then the second thing is what they need to do is have a press conference. And I know they're going to have one on Monday to introduce Vogel, but I really wish Jeannie Buss and Rob Pelinka were both going to be there. I know Rob will, but I wish Jeannie would sit there and answer questions, because there are so many questions that the fans want to know and the world wants to know. Just what's going on with the organization, all the dysfunction and all the going back and forth. And I know Monday we'll definitely get some answers with Magic Johnson going on First Take and with the press conference with the Lakers. But that we need to have some kind of, not closure, but some kind of, someone to talk to us and let us know the state of the organization, like what's going on, what's next. They're not giving us that, and as fans, we deserve that.
I think that's a fair point. Well, who do you think is actually a realistic option for the president of basketball operation? I mean, obviously, a lot of people love to see, a Bob Myers, for example, or even Jerry West if he was physically and willing to do it. But I mean, outside of them, who could you actually see doing it that you would actually like to see do it?
I don't have any names off the top of my head, but there's a couple of assistants in a couple of organizations. I know the Thunder have an assistant to Presti, and then the Spurs have an assistant, and the Clippers had another assistant as well that was willing to take the PBO for other teams. But at the end of the day, if we're being honest, Kurt Rambis is that guy right now. He's the president of basketball operations, and he's the one he's there at the Chicago Combine right now. He's interviewing these players, and he's with Rob. So it seems like he's the guy that's going to be running the organization for now. I don't know if they're going to give him that title, but it'd be nice to just kind of say, okay, that's the guy. Let's just get over it now.
Do you think there's any possibility that Rob Pelinka might actually be good at his job? Like, is that a possibility that 2 years from now we're gonna look back and say, oh, this guy's actually okay?
Yeah, there is actually. It's hard with him because I've talked so negative about him and towards him. But this is actually the first time that he will have, full power to make deals that he wants to make. When he was with Magic Johnson, it was a tandem, it was a duo, and Magic had the last word, last say so. And Magic was probably definitely the one that they were making phone calls with because they didn't want to speak to Rob. They wanted to go straight to Magic. So I think this time around, Rob Pelinka will be able to make his own trades or sign his own guys he wants to get, build his own team from scratch, and off of his own power. Because going off of Magic, it's Magic's team, and he's the one that's doing these moves. But with Rob Pelinka, this will be the first time he'll actually have that power. So let's give him a shot. You know what I mean? At this point, let's just give him a shot. Let's see what he's got. Who knows? He could be the next Bob Myers. Bob Myers was a free agent. He was an agent as well. So we'll see.
I mean, I feel like with Rob Pelinka too. So this is going into is basically his third year, yeah. And to be honest with you, I felt like his first year actually went pretty good. You look at the draft, and I know that was a lot of Jesse Buss's work, but I feel like that draft we did very well. At the time when the Lakers got Brook Lopez and the pick that eventually became Kyle Kuzma for D'Angelo Russell and Timothy Mozgov, all of last season, the 2017 to 2018 season, most people would have said, wow, Kyle Kuzma is actually better than Russell. Like, at least at that time, I thought that trade was a great trade at the time. I feel like his first year, to be honest, I thought it was pretty good. I feel like last year it kind of went off the rails, and maybe that's because, Magic wanted to create an instant contender. He signed all these weird free agents. I don't really know. I'm actually a little bit torn. I know people, in the media, they say, oh, well, Rob Pelinka's terrible. No one's going to trade with him. And my first thought is, okay, let's say even if the Lakers had this amazing, GM and PBO, let's say it was Bob Myers. Are people going to trade with the Lakers to help them if we're in a good position anyways? Like, I was thinking about that. Like, even, say you look at Golden State, for example. Ever since they became a championship contending team, what great trades have they even pulled off, really? The biggest things they've done since 2015 was primarily getting Kevin Durant and then getting DeMarcus Cousins. But both of those things, I feel like, were more of a consequence of the players, not necessarily the front office.
Yeah, no, and Bob Myers actually didn't draft most of those guys that are key players for them right now. He didn't draft all of them. He drafted a few or maybe one or two. So, yeah, you're right. Bob Myers is a little overrated, but I think the difference is if you get a Bob Myers type guy running your organization, or it just at this point in general, anybody, because all the news coming out with Rob Pelinka saying teams he didn't give teams their calls back, or teams were calling and saying we want to speak to Magic instead of Rob. So if that's the case, and these teams don't like Rob Pelinka and that he was hard to deal with in communication wise, then maybe having a new voice might have made a difference. But like I said, at this point, I'm still willing to give Rob another chance and give him a shot. This is probably the only shot I'm gonna give him though. You bring in guys this offseason, this summer, and you build a solid team, and you make some nice trades here and there. Like, I'll give it up to you. I'll let you stay. But other than that, this is the last shot you're getting.
Well, I totally agree with you. I think this is the last shot. If things go poorly this offseason, it could look really bad for us 1 year from now. Especially if we make a very irrational or hot-headed trade decision, like trading away the whole farm for Beal, and then Beal gets injured or something, I think would be a disaster. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like I'm willing to also give him a chance too. But let's say besides even the PBO, like, what are some other, I guess, organizational things that the Lakers need to do? Like, for example, one big thing I've read a number of articles about is the fact that the Lakers don't really have an analytics staff. Like, I don't know. I feel like that should be rectified. I also feel like the Lakers should get the best medical staff in the NBA, the best medical staff possible. I think that's another huge one. I think another thing the Lakers need to do is really bring in a shooting coach, bring in a developmental guy. Are all of those things, are those pipe dreams, or are all those things actually, are those all things that the Lakers could actually do this offseason?
Those are actually things that all NBA teams should have. I don't know why the Lakers don't have any of that. It's mind-boggling. Like, you don't have a shooting coach, you don't have an analytics team. Good thing I've read that Frank Vogel is huge on analytics. So I think that he'd bring in a good staff for analytics, and the Lakers are, being willing to hire some guys for that. And yeah, definitely a training staff. That's number one. We had the most injuries in basketball. I think we had like 200 injuries all season, and that's bad. Judy Sato coming in is huge for the team. Kobe vouched for her. He carried her everywhere he went. So that's huge, and that's in a good note. A shooting coach for sure, because you need to know how to shoot a damn free throw.
Yeah.
And as far as analytics, like I said, Frank Vogel, he's huge on that. So I definitely think I can see that happening. And then they need to get good assistant coaches. I know all they have right now is Kidd, and I think Miles Simon is still around. But they need solid guys that are gonna know their role and have a defensive coordinator, offensive guy, one guy that has a scouting development, and another guy that's taking care of his players and kind of nurturing them. I know Kidd is supposed to do that for Lonzo, but we need to have solid assistants out there that we can bring in.
I mean, I agree with you. I mean, one name I'd love to see come to the Lakers is Phil Handy. I think that's his name.
Yeah, Phil Handy, huh?
I mean, he worked with the Cavs with LeBron. I mean,
Yep.
he's with the Raptors right now, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
it's
that's
not like
Kyrie's guy.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like it's a total pipe dream that he could come to the Lakers. I mean, most people if you're even a casual NBA fan, you have not heard of Phil Handy. I mean, this isn't Phil Jackson. I mean, this is just a really good assistant. I mean, I don't know. I'm very hopeful that we could get somebody, at least either him or somebody like him. But I guess one more question, big picture question is, let's say if you and we record, let's say July of 2020.
Okay.
So like 1 year from now or whatever. So after the finals have happened, what do you think is an actual realistic possibility that could happen next season for the Lakers? Like a realistic positive one. Like what, like I guess, yeah, paint the picture, I guess, if you can, for the next season coming for the Lakers.
I personally think that they definitely will get someone in free agency. I don't know who, but I think they'll get someone of quality, an all-star type player. And it doesn't necessarily have to be one of the superstar guys. I can see a Kemba Walker or Tobias Harris or nothing. It doesn't have to be a sexy name, but I can see them getting, if they don't get a superstar, I can see them bringing in a bunch of solid all-star type guys like a Jimmy Butler and then another guy to kind of go off of him and kind of fill in the team. I don't think necessarily they have to hit the home run with the superstar. I think it's possible that they hit, get a couple of guys and they complete a solid roster and compete. And I think the Lakers are actually going to compete next season, and they'll definitely be in the top 8 in the West and definitely have a playoff spot. So a year from July, when the playoffs are over and the championship is won, I can see the Lakers maybe getting to the second round of the Western Conference Finals. And who knows from there? But I don't think they'll win the championship right off the bat with whoever they bring in. But I can tell you that they'll definitely compete, and Frank Vogel's gonna have that team up to par.
What's something that could happen to the Lakers this offseason that would just totally blow you away?
Wow.
Let's say Kevin Durant comes to the Lakers, would that blow you away?
No, it wouldn't. Because I see there's a slight chance he might come to the Lakers. Obviously, it's slight, but it wouldn't surprise me. More of a surprise would be something like LeBron demanding a trade and us trading him away, which I know is not happening, but that would surprise me. As far as a certain player coming in, I don't think I'd be surprised. I think the Lakers have a shot at every free agent out there. And as much as people say they're not giving the Lakers a chance, they're not going to even sit with the Lakers or give them a meeting, it's early. And I think LeBron is recruiting. I really do think LeBron is recruiting, and I think any free agent out there, it's possible that they come in. The one thing that might surprise me is if they trade for a star other than Beal and AD, like we were talking Karl Anthony Towns or something like that. If they trade for someone like that, that would surprise me.
I mean, one thing, yeah, I will definitely agree with you that, LeBron talking to these free agents, I mean, the media, they want to make it sound like, oh yeah, the Clippers are definitely the destination for Kawhi and Durant. We have literally, I mean, I check NBA Twitter all the time. Like, I mean, I'm on Twitter often just looking at what people are posting. And I mean, I have never heard them even say the word Clippers. Like I mean, I haven't seen them meet with anybody from the Clippers. I've never heard them talk about the Clippers. I mean, people can say everything they want about Lakers again, but I mean, Durant and Kawhi talked to LeBron. I mean, a lot of people probably remember this from last season, but Magic Johnson went to a Dodgers game with Kawhi in his private box. We know that Kobe Bryant talks with Kawhi. I mean, to how much I don't know, but to make it just sound like it's like, oh yeah, the Clippers, that's it. And it's like, well, all right, well, where's the proof for that other than the Clippers PR people are saying that so they could sell season tickets next season? I mean, I don't know what that is.
The only people that talk Clippers are Ross Markazi and Wojnarowski.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, again, even you kind of touched upon this idea of LeBron demanding a trade. I mean, that was another thing too. I just saw that was so asinine earlier this week.
Yeah.
The idea of Ben Simmons straight up for LeBron.
Stop it.
I was thinking, I'm like, okay, wait a minute. The Rockets were going to trade 4 first-round draft picks for Jimmy Butler, and all the Lakers could get for LeBron is Ben Simmons. I mean, I like Ben Simmons, but I mean, that's it? Are you kidding me? And then another one I saw, I forgot who was promoting it, but the idea of Chris Paul to the Lakers.
Oh, jeez.
I was thinking, I'm like, on next season, I would rather have Lonzo Ball than Chris Paul next season.
Oh, 100%.
Chris Paul, what was he averaging? 18 points for that series against the Warriors?
Yeah, Chris Paul's broken, man. He can barely get by a defender.
Dude, he is, and he's only going to get worse.
Oh, yeah. Father Time is undefeated.
And he's also a choker. I mean, if he had come to the Lakers with Kobe, he probably would have got that out of his DNA. But since he went to the Clippers, I mean, maybe people that are Rockets fans might not like to hear this, but like they're the ultimate choke artist team of maybe all time. I mean, Chris Paul and James Harden are the biggest chokers in the NBA today.
Yeah, and I don't think Houston cares. I don't know if you watched the jump when Scottie Pippen was on, but he said when he was a Houston Rocket that city doesn't care for championships. As long as you do good and you play and you're competing, they're happy. So, I mean, if they don't care about winning a championship, then they're good with Harden and Chris Paul.
Yeah, I mean, you could even see it on Harden's face, when they were losing that game to the Warriors. He didn't really see, I mean, in comparison to, let's say, a guy like Joel Embiid, who's crying and he looks so emotional. James Harden just looks like, I'm ready to go out to the club again, like he did 2 years ago against the Spurs.
Yep.
I mean, literally that game 6 against the Warriors it reminded me so much of the game 6 against the Spurs 2 years ago. And though granted in that series they ended up losing that, I think they lost by like 30 points. Game 6 when they lost to the Spurs 2 years ago, but it was the same thing. Like the Spurs were missing Kawhi Leonard in that game, and then you think, oh, James Harden is going to ball out, and then he disappears. And then in the game 6 against the Warriors, totally disappeared. That's why, I mean, I'm not afraid of the Rockets at all next season from a Lakers standpoint. I'm not afraid of PJ Tucker being the best player for the Rockets in a fourth quarter in a pivotal game. Sheesh. And that's what he was for the Rockets.
Oh, yeah.
And game 5 and 6, he was the best player for them.
Yeah.
Or maybe Eric Gordon. I mean, if Eric Gordon or PJ Tucker are your best players in a pivotal game 5 and 6 of a series, then like I'll take that any day of the week when the Lakers have LeBron and maybe another star.
Oh, yeah. And the Houston Rockets are not scary at all. I mean, during the season, the Lakers played them really well. There was a game in Houston when Brandon Ingram just took over and he was hitting shot after shot. They went into overtime. I think they lost in overtime, but the Lakers can definitely compete with the roster they have now and LeBron. Can you imagine if they bring in a star? And for sure, they're not even going to be a question of having to compete against the Houston Rockets.
What Rocket do you feel like deserves a punch in the face the most from a Lakers player next season?
Oh, man. Yeah, no, I still think Chris Paul deserves another punch.
Maybe we could get JaVale McGee this time instead of Rondo.
Yeah, no, but Rondo got him with that good clip.
I know he did. And then Chris Paul immediately starts crying. Oh, he did this. I mean, the guy is so hateable I think everybody. I mean, what fan base likes Chris Paul?
It's funny. I actually tweeted out that the other day when I was watching them play, I said, I can no longer watch Chris Paul play basketball. Like, I don't care if it's a big time game. Like, I cannot stand to watch him play the game of basketball. He plays it so wrong. He flops every single play, and he's falling, and his body movements and his, oh my goodness, it's just unbearable. I can't watch it. I can't.
Well, between him and James Harden and Mike D'Antoni, every play
Sheesh.
They're putting their arms out like, are you kidding me? Yeah. Where's the foul? It's like every single play, and it's like, oh my gosh, like it's so unwatchable. And then the playoffs are such crybabies. I mean, I mean, Chris Paul too in that series, he looked like Kyle Lowry. He looked like the Western version of that.
Oh, worse.
I mean, Kyle Lowry, I mean, talk about a dude. And that's another reason why I don't think Kawhi's going to stay with the Raptors is, I mean,
He carried a big load.
yeah, your two of your top 5 players are Kyle Lowry and Serge Ibaka. Like,
Eesh.
how far are you going to get with that? And with Kyle Lowry, who does playoff games where he gets 0 points in the whole game. I mean,
No, that's a pretty bad.
good luck with that. But all right, man. Well, definitely thank you so much for coming on and hanging out and talking and stuff. How can we follow your guys' stuff online? Like, what are your guys' social media platforms, and how can we catch your guys' work?
So on Twitter we're at ShowtimeForum, and then on Instagram as well we're at ShowtimeForum, and then my personal Twitter is at Audeezy, AUDEEZY_. And then I tweet a lot on there, my personal opinions, but for the most part, it's at ShowtimeForum. That's where we have all our content. Any reporters that come out, we aggregate them and we put them up. Any videos from anybody on ESPN or anything, pretty much Lakers, we have up and right on time and early so everybody can see it. So that's what we do.
And you co-host it with Greg Bergman, right?
Yeah. Well, Greg Bergman is actually the post game show host. He does the post games. And then I'll just kind of aggregate whatever he's saying for the day for the post game. And then other than that, we have a podcast with myself and Ray El Barbone, which comes out every Thursday or Friday of every week. We record once a week.
Okay. Well, perfect. Well, thank you so much. Yeah, definitely. I appreciate your time, and definitely I look forward to talking to you again. Hopefully next time, maybe things will be maybe more settled. I don't know. Maybe it'll be less settled. God only knows what's going to happen with the Lakers. I feel like there could just be a total twist next week. Something weird comes out about Kurt Rambis or Jeannie Buss, and then they're gone, and we're like, what the heck just happened? Like, something crazy like Phil Jackson becomes the president of basketball operations.
Yeah, man. Look, if something happens like that, you make sure to give me a call, and I'll jump back on this, and we'll get that straightened out.
Would that totally shock you, Phil Jackson, as the official president of basketball operation?
Yeah. You know why? Because LeBron.
He hates LeBron?
Yeah, the posse comments and yeah, no, that LeBron has zero respect for him. I actually pulled up like 3 clips from LeBron saying, I have no respect for Phil. So, yeah, that would surprise me hugely.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I could also see the two of them like buddy. All of a sudden, they put all of it's just all the bad blood is gone, and now they're
I wouldn't
friends.
put it past them.
Well, I think they all love drama. I mean, that's one thing for LeBron. I mean, I liked him before he came to LA, and I mean, he is a total diva.
Oh yeah.
And the Lakers, they breed that, so I wouldn't be totally shocked if that happened. That's the whole Shaq and Kobe reunion. Now they're all friends again, and it's like you guys hated each other for a while.
Right.
Now you guys are doing interviews together. They're gonna do a speaking engagement together. I wouldn't be shocked if that happened.
Yeah, I would be shocked. I would actually. Jeez.
All right, man. Well, definitely thank you again for coming on, and I'll send you the link once this video's up.
Of course. Thanks, Marcus. I appreciate it.
No problem, man. Well, take care.
My pleasure.
All right. Bye.